So yeah, just want to say thanks for stopping and being curious. These guys actually asked me what we were doing, so this was an easier one. Yeah, so we're in town and we're trying to spread awareness for animals that are being slaughtered every second of every day. Have you ever thought about veganism, or do you have any preconceived notions about what it is? And no holds barred, like don't hold back. I'm not going to be offended because I've heard it all before. But yeah, just work away.
I think it's just like, but my sort of view on it is from what I do eat meat, and I'm not. I do now, but I don't think there's a lot of education on it. And I think in a lot of shops, like we see. Like whenever we're growing up, it's not, like I know it's not choice really, because from when you're younger, you're introduced to it and it becomes the norm.
Would you agree then that it would be the illusion of choice?
I would say that it would be. It's what you're. I wouldn't say it's an illusion, but what I would say is it's introduced to us and we know no other normal. So it becomes what we know, and anything else becomes alien.
I do agree that like what happens is it is wrong. I still eat meat and I still eat obviously everything, but I would try and like stay away from like
what you perceive to be like the worst.
Yeah, like the big companies who like farm
caged eggs.
Yeah, I try and go like local kind of, and I have family up in Donegal, and they have like their own farm kind of, and I would get a lot of my stuff off them. And
you feel better than supporting a big corporation.
And like my sister personally, she's vegetarian. And at the very start I didn't understand that, but like as I spoke to her,
I still don't understand vegetarians.
But like I would consider being like a pescatarian if I was ever going to, but I wouldn't. I don't think I personally I'd be able to commit to being like a vegan.
Okay.
But I think what is happening is wrong. Okay. I don't know if I could commit to actually helping, which I feel bad for. But
You would both agree with me that you would be against animal cruelty.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good base. I'll get back to what you were saying. I can explain why certain vegans are angry and loud and come across as they're not promoting that lifestyle in an attractive way. So when I first went vegan, I was very like, I felt like my insides were burned out. I'd seen this awful, horrible suffering, and I was kind of mad at like society that I was kind of brainwashed to eat corpses of innocent creatures who suffered immensely. I was really annoyed. And there's different mental health practices, meditating and journaling, and things that you can do to deal with those extreme feelings, because it's extreme feelings in a reaction to something extreme that's happening. But some people maybe don't have that information or have access to those sorts of things, and they don't practice these things, and so that negative energy stays inside them, and it can be like what can be perceived as the silliest comment, oh, you vegans, and bang, it's exploding, and they're shouting, and they're those vegans, you vegan extremists and all that. So because I see it too, and I don't think it's a good look, and it's not promoting it as effectively as it could be promoted. But if I'm going to judge something, and I feel like you'd be the same, I'm not trying to cast you out, I'm saying if I'm going to judge something, I want to seek to understand why as well. So for my understanding, those people haven't processed those negative emotions in a healthy way, and it manifests as negative energy towards other people.
I think it's in the sense of, like, as you said there, they have this strong opinion, but they're more... Some of them can be a lot more focused on, getting the fact that what they perceive of us doing wrong, instead of educating us on what. So
their emotion overrules their logic.
Exactly, and it's as you said, it's so important to be able to educate, because then if we understand, what is happening, then we're able to make that choice morally on ourselves. But if you're not educated on it, then there's nothing you can do.
Completely agree with you there, man. Education is so important. I don't think it's a good look, the extreme vegan thing, but I don't think it's fair criticism, in the sense that these people are angry because something really fucked up is happening. They kind of, in a way, a right to be angry. Like, I would question someone's mental health if they weren't pissed off about abusing and slaughtering innocent animals. I'd say, like, what's wrong with you that you don't find a problem with that? So... I'm not condoning it, but I understand why. When you see slaughterhouse footage, then do you feel that it doesn't make you feel upset, or it doesn't make you feel annoyed, or it doesn't make you feel like there's something wrong happening?
No, it would make me. I believe there's something wrong happening. I wouldn't. It does give me a bit of a sicky feeling, but it wouldn't.
It definitely doesn't make you hungry, would you say? Even though you eat meat, it wouldn't sort of stimulate your appetite.
Straight after that, I wouldn't turn around and have a bit of bacon. Like I wouldn't do it. You would kind of be thinking, but at the same time, a lot of the times people, not me personally, but I know people have spoken to me before about it, that they would see it almost as if it's being like shoved down your throat. You shouldn't.
We get that criticism.
And that's why I feel like when that's being done, it's kind of like a lot of people will be like, it's like when you're told don't do something, in your head, I'm going to do it now.
Yeah.
So
that criticism interests me a lot because it's very common, shoving it down people's throat. I feel like people, no matter how peaceful and respectful, if those people aren't ready to receive that message, they'll find a way to make it out that you're the bad guy and they're all right. Because how can, like, we've got that comment at the event's called the Cube of Truth, and we've got that comment there. You're shoving this down people's throat. We're literally standing quietly, peacefully. People come up to us and we engage in conversation with them. Yeah. So I don't feel like that's shoving it down people's throats. But there's a double-edged sword with that, because those people that throw that criticism at us, one, they're not vegan, and two, because they're not vegan, they're literally shoving a knife into an animal's throat. Like, they're paying for that to happen. So metaphors aside, they're the one that's really shoving something into someone's throat. You know what I mean?
Would you say if someone was, like, say, educated on, like, you know, what's happening to animals and stuff, and then they still chose to eat meat, would you actively tell them that they're wrong, like that they're a bad person sent for doing that?
I don't think they're a bad person. I'm really fascinated by behavioural psychology, and I like to know why people are doing the things that they do. There's an underlying issue there. There's maybe some unprocessed trauma. I feel like there's some sort of mental or emotional or traumatic or psychological block that when they see something really immoral that they're paying for, that prevents them from taking responsibility. Yeah. So I don't like to think that people are categorically wrong, because everything is like in a state of flux. So you can't just say you could be wrong about something one day and then you could change your mind the next day, and we're all kind of like that. And there's a saying like, hate the sin, love the sinner. You know what I mean? We're all sinners. Like, I'm not getting biblical, but you know, we've all done wrong, and we all do wrong in some ways, and we all try to do good. And that's like what I'm trying to do here. It hurts me in my heart. It hurts me in my heart when I know people personally and they've seen what I've seen and they are still happy to pay for it. It really hurts me.
So a lot of those have like a moral imbalance. Like, they find one thing wrong, then another not, because like it's like a societal pressure in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, cognitive dissonance is rife. We justify some things with excuses that really aren't justifiable, and other things that are immoral, you'll still find people doing even though they know.
Say someone's all sitting at a table and 3 people are eating meat, and one person believes it's wrong. Maybe if that person's not educated enough, then they would have, you know, like a taken to want to do the same, because they don't have an understanding.
Pressure nearly.
Exactly.
Yeah, it very much is. There's an element of, for men as well, toxic masculinity. I seen a study recently that said men, when they feel like their masculinity is dipping, are more likely to eat red meat. Let's be honest, we all are aware of how others perceive us and how we would like to be perceived. So, no, like, it's usually the minority of people that don't mind standing out and saying, you know what, I know that's wrong, and if I'm gonna like have to change my friend circle, then so be it. Like,
there's a thing about like commercialization as well, if you think about it, because like I don't know, I'm obviously not a vegan, but I've heard whenever speaking with like the dummy who's like a vegetarian, things like that, like if you think about it, isn't there a lot of vegan food that can be a lot more expensive, or the way it's portrayed could be a lot more expensive?
Veganism can be as expensive or as cheap as you want it to be. Like, it can be done on a budget. There's so many videos on YouTube, veganism on a budget. There's people going into Tesco's, Lidl, Sainsbury's, Asda, and showing how you can buy cheap vegan food. But I mean, the cheapest foods in the world are vegan. Yeah. Like, the poorest people in the world eat like grains, and they eat potatoes and rice and vegetables. And
they say that it would be dear, but I mean, if you go into any shop, like, steak is...
It's not the cheapest, is it?
Like upwards of $3.50, like, for the cheapest one. Like, and the same when you go
you can get vegan steaks that are similar priced. You can get vegan bacon that's like a bit pricier. You can get those things, but you will not die if you don't eat that. Like, I rarely eat stuff like that, to be honest. At the start, I thought like I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna have a craving. And you do get a bit of a craving, but every time I had a craving for animal flesh, I just thought of an animal getting their throat sliced, and I went, well, my craving is gone now. And that is really what it takes. You have to be willing to commit to remind yourself of the principle.
You talked about, sorry to interrupt,
no, it's okay.
You talked about like you lost a lot of your friends. Like, see now, see if you were to have like a relationship with someone, would you say you would and I don't mean to get personal, I just mean I want to know your point of view with regards to, like, say for example you were in like a relationship with someone, would you only want to be with someone who is a vegan?
If I was with a partner and I showed them slaughterhouse footage and I was like, this is really close to my heart, it really, I'm really passionate about doing something about this, will you at least, if you're a paying customer, would you at least bear witness to the suffering that you're responsible for? And they were like, either no or like, yes, okay, but like, I don't really care about that. Then yeah, it would be a deal breaker for me, because I want to be... There's an idea of like people like to be around other people who confirm their views and just swell their ego, and it's, you know, there's that, and then there's just wanting to be around people who empower you to do better in the thing that you're doing. And for me, it's the latter. I want to be around other passionate people who care about injustice and who motivate and spur me on to be better than I can be without those people. So the relationship thing, for me, I'm not that black and white where I'm like, nah. I would allow them the time to be on their own journey, and not like, not too long though, because at the end of the day, once they see that documentary, once they're well informed, every day that they don't choose to be vegan, they're knowingly harming animals when they have the choice not to.
Yeah.
And that's something I can't morally accept. There's a few quotes swirling in my mind. Martin Luther King is credited with saying, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. So let's just even take that one. I show this, I became aware of this thing and I share it online. I say, this is really messed up. Like, trying to seek if other people agree with me or not and like want to stand with me on it. No one says anything. I think at a certain point, like, and I went on for a long time being that preachy vegan, just sharing, I learned about this, I learned about that, this is crazy, like trying to stimulate creative thought and change, behaviour change and whatever else. But to those who were silent and said nothing, I mean, I don't know if I respect that, really. A lot of the time I was going like, where are my friends? Like, why haven't they said anything?
What if you had a friend who, like, supported your decision and was, you know, encouraging to your own views, but didn't believe that they could do it themselves?
Yeah, that's very common. And what I'd say to that is, it's a perception thing. They didn't believe that they could do it. But for me, how can you not? How can you not, like, go into a shop and just pick up something else? How can you not?
Could you not say it's very easy for as someone who believes in that to say that, but you have a strong understanding. But for someone who doesn't, and as you said, has like a diluted type view on it, then think about, like, misinformed
or unaware.
Yeah, then they would struggle then to say that I'm just going to do this, I'm just going to change.
Yeah, no, completely. Like, if you don't understand something, no, it's a completely valid point. If you don't understand something, you literally can't really comment on it or embody that like you're aware. So, but the thing is, man, I've shared like so much information. I've shared documentaries. I've said like for years. I was on Facebook for years. I don't even do it anymore. I burned out of having debates online with people because I thought street activism was more empowering way. But I mean, like, I don't know where you're coming from exactly, but it's not like they don't have access to the same information that I do. They consciously choose not to inform themselves to justify their decision to keep harming animals because of this perception. And it's based on that perception that they feel they couldn't do it. But the thing is, the thing that they're not willing to look at was the thing that gave me the power to do it. Had I not seen animals being graphically slaughtered and chopped into pieces, maybe I would have been a bit more blasé about it and went, well, maybe like they do it humanely, or maybe like the animals are looked after really well. But I've seen animals getting their heads cut off. I've seen animals get, like, what do you think happens in a slaughterhouse when an animal doesn't walk down the chute? Do you think they just wait until they force the animal against their will every time? You know, it's not a nice place. It's a place of ultra violence and bloodshed. So anyone with 2 cents, you know, knows that you can Google and you can watch documentaries about this stuff nowadays. Veganism is sweeping through society. People are aware of it. People are very yes, no worries. Lastly, I'll not keep you any longer. I just want to know what, like, you agreed with me that animal cruelty was wrong. So do you agree then that the inherent act to kill an animal is wrong?
I don't agree, and not like completely shutting about. Like, I mean, it never did. There's no proof that it did harm back when it was originally started, or blah blah blah. I mean, like. I mean,
like health?
Yeah, like lions.
You know, like
would kill a rabbit.
Completely. Do you know that lions and true carnivores, they never get cancer or heart disease or anything?
So a part of me would say, like, killing animals altogether is like.
You're alluding to the circle of life sort of thing.
Like,
you know, most animals are herbivores, so it's the very small amount of animals that actually kill other animals.
But I would say that, like, killing animal meat, it's not bad, but if at the rate that we're doing it, it is.
Okay.
Like it's an extreme measure that we're at.
It's trillions every year, actually.
The amount of meat we should be actually eating a week, we're eating way too much.
And you said killing and eating an animal, it's not bad. Is that based on the thing, like animals eat other animals in the wild?
Yeah.
That's a really common thing that people say. And what I would say to that is, well, other animals in the wild also eat their babies, and they also rape other animals. So based on that logic, we could use the animals to justify killing our babies and raping, because animals do it in the wild. So I just sort of say, it does sound like a good excuse, but based on that, would you agree that it's maybe not the best excuse?
Probably not, no.
Yeah.
No, it's understandable, but
I just want to leave you with, like, what do you think you can do about it? Because if you agree that it's wrong, if you agree that you find it maybe a bit tricky now to justify it, like, are you going to do something about it?
I think if you were to do one, like, you probably maybe start, if you were going to maybe become a vegan, you could reduce the amount, and then eventually
reduce with the intention to be vegan, though.
Yeah.
Because there's a phrase called reducitarianism, and it's where people get. They're reducing, but they never really get around to. They kind of get comfortable because they're doing a little bit, and then it's like, well, I'm doing more than most people, so whatever. But the thing is, I'm okay with reducitarianism as long as there is an end goal to completely abolish it. Because any other injustice, racism, sexism, whatever, we would not tolerate like a little bit. We would not tolerate like racism-free Mondays. You know what I mean? We'd just be like, nah, just don't do it at all. So
I respect that, yeah.
I respect you guys for coming over and seeking to know. I'll give you a card, if that's okay.
Yes, no worries.
That's the group. That's Cuba Truth. That's what we do. But see that must see the first one. If you watch anything, they're all good resources. But
the documentaries.
Yes.
I'm studying film, so I would actually I would enjoy to watch them actually.
Dominion is the standard legal industry practice. It's a slaughterhouse documentary. There's also it's filmed in Australia, but there's Land of Hope and Glory, which is UK, and it's just a contrast that no matter where this is happening in the world, it's all the same. The best speech you'll ever hear is what made me go vegan. It's on there. It's on YouTube. And lads, thanks very much.
For doing this.
Cheers.
Well done.
Respect.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers,
Thanks.